Welcome everybody to Whiteboard Finance. We got Stock Talk Saturday, which has been going on for the last 3 weeks. I can't believe that this is already the 4th edition of the live stream Stock Talk Saturday. I hope everyone's having a great weekend, and I hope you're all having a prosperous day. Can't wait to get the live stream started. So without further ado, let's get right into it, you guys. So we've had another crazy week with markets over the past week. I know that's been kind of the theme throughout October going into November. And for everybody that's on the stream, please let me know if you can hear me okay, see me okay. You know, I'm still getting used to this setup and just want to make sure that you're getting the best quality stream possible. So ultimately, what do we have here? Let's take a quick look. Let me go back into the news. So the news from yesterday or a couple days ago is kind of with Apple. So Apple said that they're no longer going to be recording or publicly announcing the sales of their iPhones. And, you know, some people love it, some people don't, but regardless, this actually caused the stock to fall 7% after its above forecast earnings, and also revenue was above estimates, but this was overshadowed by soft guidance and weaker than expected iPhone shipments last quarter. So I'm not a phone guy. I'm not going to turn this into like, you know, a crazy phone debate or anything. But, you know, I've had Galaxies since the S3, S4. I've had them for about 5-6 years now. And I love my Samsung. I think Samsung's always been on the cutting edge. Apple definitely created, you know, the modern smartphone with this kind of platform of touchscreen and all that stuff. But Samsung, in my opinion, has always been, you know, ahead of the game a little bit in terms of technology. So I'm not going to turn this into a technology review channel because you know it's not. But ultimately, you know, I just think that the iPhone is great and they have a great brand and a great loyal following. But some people may start to go into different routes or different avenues like Samsung or Huawei, you know, or any of the other players out there like HTC, for example. So let me actually share my screen here. Let me know if you can see this, you guys. So some other news that I wanted to talk about real quick is that the S&P 500 technology sector fell about 2%. So last week it was kind of like a bloodbath here in the technology sector, and I think it's starting to continue just a little bit further here. I think the China trade war has a lot to do with that. So that's kind of my take on that, you guys. Let me just go back in here, see if we got any chats going. Don't want to neglect anybody that's on the chat. Lydia Santiago says, hello everyone. Hey Lydia, how you doing? Nice to see you every week. You know, you've always been a great supporter of the live stream. I think you're out on the West Coast, so this stream is actually a little bit earlier for you. I think it's 9 a.m. over there right now. So guys, let me know if Saturday at noon is not working out for you. You know, I'd be happy to move the channel or move the show maybe like on a Sunday night or something where everyone's a little bit more accessible. I know noon at Eastern time on a Saturday can sometimes be in the middle of everyone's schedule. So just let me know how you feel about that, you guys. So going back real quick, let me change the view here. We have adding to fears that U.S. corporates are nearing peak profit growth, Kraft Heinz posted earnings that fell short of expectations. So the reason I bring up Kraft is because a lot of people think that we may be going into a recession or some sort of a pullback at this point. So a lot of people are looking to get into more stable companies like your Walmarts, your Costco's, your consumer products like, you know, Kraft Heinz. It's kind of staple in everybody's kitchen, you know, ketchup, macaroni and cheese, things like that. But its shares actually fell 9%. So let me flip that over so you can see my screen here. That's the paragraph that I'm reading. I thought that was pretty interesting. I did want to go a little bit into the trade war with China, just because that seems to be on top of everyone's mind. If you guys followed the market on Friday, you would know that the markets were actually up pretty significantly. I think we're up like 200, 250 points at one point. And then all of a sudden, later on in the day, I started getting these notifications on my phone, and it was like, oh, you know, I believe who the gentleman was, I can't remember his name, but he announced that the trade talks aren't going as planned, or they're not advancing as much as he thought they would, and stocks just plummeted. I think we lost all of our gains for the day, and actually we're down 0.5%, I believe. So that was kind of interesting, you guys. My personal opinion about that trade war is that I think it's one of those situations where it's almost like a symbiotic relationship. I know that we import a lot more from China than they import from the United States, but at the same time, it's one of those things where everything affects everything. So I think eventually, at some point, it's going to have to smooth out here, because it really is a mutually beneficial relationship to both countries. Don't get me wrong, China still has tons of trade partners in Europe, in Australia, the rest of Asia, for example. So, you know, they don't really, quote unquote, need the USA. But at the end of the day, we import so much of their stuff that we're talking trillions of dollars here, guys, over the long term. So Doug Whitaker smiled. Hey, Doug, how you doing? Nice to see you, buddy. I think this is the first time I'm seeing you on one of these. Kumar, hello. For how many years will the petrol, crude oil, will be left in this world? That's a very good question. Let me see if I'm going to share my screen here. What I wanted to bring up before you even mentioned that, Kumar, that's a great question. Let me pull up my browser here. So this was actually one of the things I wanted to talk about. So thank you for bringing that up. So to answer your question about how many years left of oil there is, I don't know, because there's so many stats and facts and a lot of fear and propaganda to manipulate price per barrel of oil that a lot of people, they don't even know, you know, at this point. I'm sure these big oil companies do. I actually own a big oil company in my personal portfolio. If you guys are interested in seeing my personal portfolio, I will be having a membership group opened up shortly here. It's going to be a monthly membership. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have equity research reports that are of Wall Street quality. These things are probably $1,500, $2,000 a piece. I'm sourcing them from a friend that works on Wall Street, so you guys are going to be getting cutting-edge information. But to answer your question, Aravind, I actually read a book called Peak Oil. So if you know what a bell curve looks like, if you know how the chart goes up and then down, it looks literally like a bell. So people think that the amount of oil available versus the amount that we're extracting at, so the rate that we're extracting the oil at, we already think we're on the other side of the bell curve to where we're just using more than can be extracted from the world. But now there's been new technologies since that theory or that concept of peak oil has been created. There's new technologies like fracking. I live in Northeast Ohio, and I know in Central and Southern Ohio and Pennsylvania, they're doing a lot of fracking out there, which is kind of where you literally fracture the earth to release pockets of natural gas, oil, things like that. I don't know how it's affecting. It could be polluting water. It could be, you know, getting gas into the water streams. I don't know. This isn't going to turn into like an environmental show. But a long-winded way of answering your question of how many years left of oil is there, I really don't know. If I knew that, I'd be a, you know, multi-millionaire, because then I could, you know, do options on commodities and oil and things like that. But let me share my screen here real quick, you guys. So the article I wanted to bring up was that oil posts its biggest weekly drop since February as U.S. approves Iran waivers. So I work for a big regional bank here in Northeast Ohio, and one of the companies that I'm underwriting is from the East Coast, and they actually are an oil company. They're a fuel wholesaler. So some of their customers are like BJ's, Costco, the county of whatever, wherever they're located in New York. So ultimately what I learned from that report is that, let me put it back over here on me real quick. So what I learned from underwriting that company is that as oil prices increase, oil wholesalers' margins go down. I don't know why that is. I think it has to do with accounts payable, receivable, bringing on more staff, more truck drivers to transport the oil, storing it. So you have to build more storage tanks, if you will. And I just think that was pretty cool. So when the price of oil is down, the margins are higher, are actually better for those companies. When oil is higher, they're realizing more revenue, but their margins are actually getting squeezed. So I thought that was a pretty cool relationship. It's almost like an inverse relationship. Let me pull this up. Let me see if anybody else is chatting. Robert, oh, Robert, what's up, buddy? Finally, nice to see you on here. You've neglected me for 3 weeks. So everybody that doesn't know, Bob, Dr. Pick, he's actually a longtime subscriber of the channel, and he has great commentary, and he's always supported me, so I really appreciate you joining, Bob. Positive investing. Good morning, Marco and everyone. What's up, Nick? How you doing, buddy? I don't know if it's as cold in Toronto as it is here in Cleveland, man, but I'm starting to feel it. My wife and I went on a walk this morning, man, and it was cold. Lydia says, what's up to Nick? How you doing, everybody? Rudy T, happy to join from Berlin. Oh, what's up, Ružica? How you doing? Nice to see you. So Berlin, I believe, is 6 hours ahead of where I'm at right now. Positive Investing's got nice rapport going on with other people. Snorlexer, what is your favorite stock out of Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Facebook? So that's a good question. So I've actually recommended all of these, and if you guys get my weekly stock pick letter, if you haven't signed up for the weekly stock pick, please do so. It's 100% free. It's actually the first link in the description below. So it's funny because I've actually recommended all 4 of those stocks at one point or another within this channel. So ultimately, if I had to pick one out of all those, that's so hard to tell because each one is so unique. I'll tell you what platforms I do use. I use Amazon. I have Amazon Prime personally. My whole life lives on Google. I have, Android phone. I got Gmail. I have a YouTube channel, which is Google. I've pretty much everything of my life on Google. Let's see, Facebook. I mean, I don't know. I deleted Facebook in 2013. The reason I recommended them is because I believe in WhatsApp. I believe in Oculus. I believe in Instagram. Instagram is the hottest social media platform out there right now. There's no doubt about it. And they have so many ways to grow their revenue outside of just, their core business of advertising and, obviously the Facebook platform. And then finally, Apple. I'm streaming this on a MacBook. My wife has a ton of Apple products. I believe in their marketing, their branding. They're sitting on a ton of cash, which everyone already knows. I just think that all 4 of these companies are great, but if I had to pick one, if I had to toss one and not choose one, it would be Facebook. The reason I say that is just because Amazon's done an excellent job of incorporating themselves into everyone's life, whether it's through the acquisition of Whole Foods, so groceries, Prime delivery. Instead of going to the store and wasting your time, stuff comes to you in 2 days, 3 days max. So we just got a subscriber to the weekly stock pick. Great, thanks guys. And I'll actually turn this volume down so that it doesn't distract you anymore. So Amazon's done a great way. I know they're going into prescriptions. They're going into, every aspect of your life, Amazon will be involved. I think they're really going to be a player here for the next 50, 60, maybe 100 years. Who knows? Let's see, Google, as I mentioned before, a lot of my life lives on Google, and they make everything so convenient by integrating it into the phone. If I buy a new phone, I don't need to, have the old days of uploading everything through my SIM card and USB and all that stuff. All you do is literally pull up your cloud account where everyone's linked to, and boom, it's your phone set up, ready to go. That's just one small example of what Google's doing outside of their core ad business and all that stuff. So Apple, I think Apple's brand is so strong and their marketing is so strong that people are almost blindly loyal, almost loyal to a fault. I had the opportunity to either buy a new MacBook or a 2015 15-inch Retina, and I chose to buy the used 2015 because, in my opinion, it's better than the current MacBook Pro. So I don't want this to turn into a tech discussion, but my point is that Apple sometimes sacrifices function for form, if that makes sense. And sometimes they don't put out the best product. Sometimes some of these other manufacturers put out better product, but people are just so ingrained and entrenched into that iPhone or that Apple ecosystem that they buy it regardless. So good question, Snorlexer. I hope that helped. Lydia Santiago, Nick just woke up, LOL. You're one of my first channels. Yeah, if you guys don't follow Nick, check out Nick at Positive Investing. Nick Paris. His channel used to be called Nick J. Paris. Now it's Positive Investing. Nick's a great guy. Check him out. Dr. Pick says, what do you think, Marco? I believe the cannabis stocks will do very well in the future, especially some of the U.S. early companies like Suniva and Canopy Rivers. Your thoughts? So very good question, Dr. Pick. I will be honest, after I created that course on marijuana stocks, I sold off a big chunk of my position. I doubled my money. I think I still have about 40 or 50 shares left of Canopy Growth. That's actually the stock that I doubled my money on. But to answer your question, absolutely, this comes up every week. Cannabis stocks are absolutely here to stay. I mentioned, my trip to my cousin's bachelor party. We went to Breckenridge, Colorado. I thought these pharmacies and these weed shops and these dispensaries, they're going to be, some run-of-the-mill, unprofessional, just some like hippies and, But ultimately, it ended up being more professional than any actual pharmacy I've ever been in. These are all connoisseurs of their product. They know exactly what, if you come to them with a certain symptom or an ailment, for example, they know exactly what to recommend. If you have trouble sleeping, they know what to recommend. If you have no hunger or appetite, they know exactly what to recommend. I actually picked up those CBD gummies, so it's not psychoactive. It has no THC. So in case anybody from my job is watching this, I don't smoke weed and I don't use marijuana, but I use those CBD gummies. I've played soccer my whole life. Everything hurts. My Achilles hurts, my knees hurt, my back hurts. And we're there for a ski trip in Breckenridge. So I bought this little tube of these CBD gummies. They're kind of like maybe like this big. And I ate one before we went skiing. And, you don't get like high, you don't get, whatever. You're still sober. But like, I don't know why, but it helped my joints. Everything just didn't hurt. It was almost like taking a couple of Advil, if that made sense. So the second part of your question, Dr. Pick, let me see here. Some of the U.S. early companies like Suniva and Canopy Rivers. I will be 100% honest with you. I can't speak intelligently about either of those two stocks, so I don't want to steer you the wrong way. However, tomorrow I'm going to be having a great top 3 marijuana stocks video with Rich TV Live, with Departures Capital, who I actually had an interview with last week. And then also with Investing Hustler. So I know, Dr. Pick, you watch Investing Hustler as well. I see you in the comments. So those guys, they know their stuff about the cannabis industry, so I'm going to have them on tomorrow on my channel to kind of have a roundtable discussion of their top 3 marijuana stocks for 2019. So thank you for the question, Bob. One second, you guys. Let me just take a drink of water here. I'm talking a mile a minute. So Doug Whitaker asks, what are your thoughts on vanadium mining stocks? Let me look that up. That's a very good question. So I don't know much about these. Let's see. So there's an article here that says the top 5 miners to invest in the vanadium boom. Let me share my screen here with you guys so everyone can see. Let me copy this. Let me get this into the new window. There's the Yahoo Finance whiteboard portfolio. Okay, so Doug is talking about this right here. So this gentleman, Matt Bolson, he's talking about a brief summary of vanadium uses, price, and demand. So I will be honest with you, Doug, I haven't done much research into vanadium. I have heard about it, but I'm glad you brought this up. Maybe everyone can learn from this. So real quick, I don't want to turn this into like, me reading articles verbatim, but I think it's important to understand what the viewers are asking about. It just gives you a new idea to think about in your own portfolio. So vanadium is mostly used as a steel hardener, but more recently has become popular in utility, large-scale energy storage in the form of vanadium redox flow batteries. Okay, so you may be alluding to a play maybe with self-driving cars, electric cars, things like that is what I'm assuming. Vanadium inventory is the forecast, steadily decrease. Okay, so this is a supply and demand play. I see where you're getting at here. Vanadium miners comparison, click to enlarge. Okay, so here's the big players, you guys. I'm not going to get too in-depth into this just because I've never done any research into this and don't want to steer anyone the wrong way, but there's a ton of resources out there. All you have to do is be a little bit inquisitive and find it out on your own. So take a look at these, you guys. Doug, I know this didn't really help your question, but I'm glad you brought this up so everyone can look into this. I will look into this more in depth after the live stream. So thank you so much for the question. So let me get back into here. Okay, Lou says hi from Vegas. How you doing, my friend? Thank you so much for joining. Eric Estrada, good morning, Marco. Do you think it's a good time to invest in Apple? So Apple was actually one of the companies that I brought up earlier on this live stream just because we saw a sharp drop on Friday. I think their stock went down 7%. So if you're a long-time holder of Apple, which I may or may not be, you have to join the membership group to find out. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Kind of a selfish plug there. But if you're a long-time holder and believer in Apple, I absolutely recommend Apple. I think that they're here to stay. The people are loyal to them almost to a fault, as I mentioned earlier on this stream. It just depends. I think that with this pullback in their stock, and if you think that Apple's going to be around for a while, I think that, yes, this is a good buying opportunity. But again, I'm not an investment advisor. I'm just a guy on YouTube. None of this is investment advice. It's just entertainment. Think of me as Mad Money Kramer, but just a little bit more toned down. I'm not as mad as he is. So Nick says, hey, Lydia, appreciate that. Okay, so you're just talking to Lydia. Nice to see you, Nick, my friend. Mark Sanchez, Facebook is the ultimate stock right now. Very cheap at this price. Okay, I'm glad you feel that way, Mark. Nick says, got to take off, Marco. Just want to say hi. Enjoying the new vids. Keep it up. Thank you, my friend. Nice seeing you, buddy. Aravind Kumar, PE ratio. How much will be good for a stock and how much will be bad for a stock? Well, it all depends. I mean, depends on if it's a startup company, if it depends on if it's an IPO, it depends on so many different factors. You know, tech is crazy right now. Typically, you know, I'm a value investor / dividend investor, and I also have a little bit of a swing portfolio as well. So PE ratios, I mean, I think 20 and below is decent to look at. Anything above that, you know, you're getting a little bit expensive, but it all depends on what the company is. So, you know, if it's some high growth tech company, you know, it may be a lot higher than that. But also what you guys have to be cognizant of is you have to look at the booms and the bust, man. Like in the early 2000s, I was still, you know, a young buck, but I remember when stocks crashed because of the .com bubble. Same thing with 08, 09, you know, like 07, 08 when, you know, the recession hit. That was for a different reason. But yeah, be careful because in the early 2000s during the tech bubble, some of my subscribers weren't even born then, which is crazy. But during the early 2000s, you know, everybody was buying tech. Everybody had the best idea in the world. Valuations were out of control. You know, just be careful. Be cognizant of that PE ratio. So it's a very good question, Aravind. Thank you. Snorlexer, thanks for your detailed reply. Appreciate it. My pleasure. Lydia, Marco, your newsletter is very informative and professional. Just want to say thank you for taking the time to make those. Thank you, Lydia. I appreciate it. Those all take some time to make. I know it's, you know, a quick couple of blurbs. You know, it's a chart. It's, you know, target prices. I get all that. But it's difficult, you guys. I'm a one-man show. So any way that you can support me, I appreciate it. I'm not asking for any handouts, but I do appreciate that you appreciate it. That's kind of why I'm doing this channel in the first place. Let me take a sip of water here. Okay, so Dr. Pick, Bob, do you prefer to be called Bob or Dr. Pick? I feel like Dr. Pick is more professional, but it is Saturday, it's the weekend, I'll just call you Bob. So Bob asks, I doubled on Aurora and Canopy Growth Company with swing trades, but now are hanging on long term. Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's the good way to play this right now. You got to realize with social media news, stock prices are going to be like this, especially for those hot sectors like tech, you know, marijuana, things that people know and use every day. You know, be careful of those just because there's a lot of popularity, like with like Tesla, you know, GoPro, you know, it's like, oh, I have a GoPro, let me invest in the company. You know, that's obviously not how you evaluate a company and how you evaluate stocks. You have to look at the numbers and dig deeper. There's so many layers to the onion of evaluating stocks. You got to peel back each layer. You got to know what the company does. You have to believe in management. You have to look at the numbers, obviously. You have to look at the moat. Does the company have a moat? Meaning, if you're looking at medieval terms, you had the castle and then it was protected by the moat. So invaders couldn't easily penetrate the castle or the business. So if you look at like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, they have a wide moat, you know. There's not going to be a new Pepsi or Coca-Cola anytime soon. There's going to be little niche products, but nothing that's going to affect the core business of Pepsi or Coke, if that makes sense. Doug Whitaker, South Africa. Are you in South Africa or are you talking about the miners in South Africa? Either way, thank you so much for joining, my friend. Aravind Kumar, will the information technology sector have a good future? That's a good question. I think information could be labeled many different ways. It just depends on what you're describing. So I think that look at like Google, look at Facebook, look at Google Ads. That's information. If you're on Facebook, they know everything about you. They're probably recording you literally on the phone as you speak, which is kind of scary if you've read 1984. But that's absolutely the case, you guys. So Facebook, if you've ever ran Facebook ads, they know how to pinpoint your exact target demographic literally to the zip code or to where they live within a certain radius. They know if someone likes, you know, sharks, you know, if they're a fan of like studying sharks and they live in Northeast Ohio and they're 25 to 30 years old, you know, and they also like to follow ab exercises, you know, as crazy as that sounds, you can combine so much. So if your question is information technology in regards to knowing about people, yeah, I mean, those companies are already here. Those are Facebook, those are Google, those are Amazon. We all have our own profile online because everything is on 1 or 2 or 3 platforms. It's very easy to curate that data and get to know Marco without even knowing Marco, just based on my search queries, what YouTube videos I watch, what comments I leave, what emails I send, what emails I receive. So it's a long-winded way of saying, yeah, information technology is absolutely the future, because companies will always pay for demographic information, because marketing at the end of the day is what brings in revenue, sales and marketing. Doug says, thank you. It's probably related to the miners that you asked about. You're welcome, Doug. My pleasure. Lydia says, what do you think about ROST, R-O-S-T? This is a symbol that I'm going to pull up here. Not very familiar with it. So, oh, Ross Stores. Yeah, okay. So Ross is one of those that's kind of like, I feel like this is one of those stores that does well in a recession. So let me pull up the long chart here so you can see what I'm looking at. So Ross Stores, you can see that in 08, they did not even have a nick down, which is insane. Every other company you look at dropped 30, 35%. Ross, on the other hand, has just been chugging along. It looks like it's exploded over the past 10 years here, which is kind of crazy. So I don't have any information on their fundamentals, you know, their numbers, their ratios, anything like that. But just looking at this chart, I mean, just over the past 5 years, it looks like it's a steady climber. They do pay a dividend, but it's not that strong. And it looks like they're almost at their 52-week high right now. Yeah. So right now, I mean, this is one of those companies, just looking at it from a 30,000 square foot level, if you will, high level. This looks like one of those companies that's just going to be good, whether it's a recession or a pullback in the market or not. Maybe, Lydia, you can inform us what happened here in 2017. What was the reason for this valley, if you will? You have a peak here, valley here, and a peak here. Maybe you can enlighten us. But overall, to answer your question, this looks like one of those stocks that's just going to be a staple, like a Costco, like a Walmart, something that's always going to be chugging along, whether the economy is doing well or not. Yeah, off price. Anything off price, you guys, in a recession, like storage facilities, like Storage Smart, Walmart, you know, Staples, Johnson & Johnson, consumables, things like that. Those are always going to do well. Dollar General in a recession. So if you guys, I'm actually going to make a video about that, stocks to own during a recession. But if you guys are interested in that, keep an eye out for it. But anything, to my point, I know I'm rambling here, anything that's low cost or where people can save $1 or $2, they're definitely going to do well during recessions. So let's see what else we got here. Aravind Kumar, return on equity, how much for a stock is good? I mean, it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. I know that's very broad and open and doesn't really answer your question. It just depends on what, you know, equity you want to achieve. So ultimately, risk is just a way of being compensated. How do I say this? I'm saying this wrong. The return on investment, it needs to compensate you for the amount of risk you're taking on. Does that make sense? So if you're investing in an IPO, your reward needs to be extremely high in order for the risk that you're taking. That's why companies like like Netflix or whatever, the early adopters, they made a killing. Now, not so much, just because the stock is, the stock is doing great. This is maybe not the best example, but you know that Netflix is now an established product. It's almost a staple in every American household. Everyone knows about Netflix. So the risk that you're taking on is not going to be as high later on, once the company's established and already kind of blazed their path and is established, rather than when it's an IPO, for example. So that's a very poor way of explaining. You need to be compensated for the amount of risk that you take on, if that answers your question. Doug says, miners, LOL, I'm investing into a lot of the cannabis drinks on edible companies, the next big thing. It could be. I actually posted on my Instagram channel or my Instagram page. If you don't follow me on Instagram, please do so. It's just WhiteBoard Finance. I post pictures of my personal life, thumbnails of my videos, current events, current news. Earlier this week, Coca-Cola said that they're not going to delve into cannabis drinks. So I don't know why that is. I think later on down the road, once it's more of a path that's already been blazed or a trail that's already been blazed and there's more companies in the space, maybe they'll go down that way. Maybe not. Maybe they don't want to ruin their, household Americana perception with, your everyday homemaker, a woman who has kids may not want to go into Coca-Cola, you know, if they're selling weed drinks. Even though Coca-Cola got its name because Coke, the cocaine, actually used to be in the drink. Road to the 2 Comma Club. You suck for passing me in subs already. What's up, buddy? Nice to see you, man. I watched you on Ryan Scribner's channel way back, but I'm subscribed to you as well, but I have not been following too much. I've just been so swamped, man, so I apologize. But yeah, nice to see you on the live stream, buddy. Thank you. So, Aravind, thank you again for joining us every week, man. You've been awesome. Amazon e-commerce business is doing great. So will the shopping mall and shops outside get closed in the future? So very good question. You're asking about if physical stores and physical storefronts are going to be affected by the e-commerce boom. So the big answer in the grand scheme of things is I don't think so. Just because people... take my wife, for example. She loves going to the store, trying things on, you know, feeling the material, seeing if it's a good quality product. Yeah, you can return it the next day, you know, on Amazon very easily. That's kind of more my style. But I think there's always going to be a segment for people wanting to physically go to a storefront. But ultimately, down the road, you guys, think about it. You know, if they implement drone delivery or same-day delivery or, you know, whatever, you know, it's inevitable that people are going to go for convenience over, you know, driving to the store, finding a parking spot, waiting in line, you know, dealing with 8 million people that they don't want to deal with. You know, why wouldn't you want to go for the convenience? So that's kind of the route that I'm leaning towards. However, in general, I think shopping malls and outdoor shops, they're always going to be converted into something else. I worked in commercial real estate for 3 years. So real estate and land and property types, the golden rule is what is the best and highest use for this piece of property, for this piece of land, for this location, for this whatever, okay? The best and highest use will always prevail. So if you're from a Rust Belt city like Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Detroit, there are so many of these old defunct warehouses or these old defunct manufacturing firms, or excuse me, buildings that get converted into apartments. People want to live in the city. They want to live downtown. That's the best and highest use of the property. So if we ever get to the point where like a mall becomes defunct, right? We all know of a mall that goes out of business or is empty or there's only a few stores left to where it's like, dude, what are we doing with this thing? A mall here in Northeast Ohio just got converted into an Amazon distribution facility. So that's the best and highest use. There's going to be malls in the suburbs that are in nice areas that are probably going to be converted into apartments. You know, it's inevitable, you guys. So there's always going to be a best and highest use. But, you know, I think for the near future, you know, malls, brick and mortar, it's always going to be, you know, relevant. But, you know, 30, 40 years down the road, who knows? You know, we could have drone delivery. You know, we could have autonomous delivery where drivers aren't even going to be on the road. It's going to be self-driving cars delivering stuff to you. So it's just something to think about, you guys. So good question, Kumar. Thank you for participating. Road to the 2 Comma Club. Haha, just saw you were live and wanted to pop in and say hi. Keep up the good work, dude. Thank you, my friend. Nice to see you, buddy. Lydia, I want to add that raw stores position, but it doesn't go down. Dividend looks small due to the fast capital appreciation. Very true. Last month, the stock price hardly dropped. Yeah, that could very well be the case. That could be your, is it like Activision Blizzard? Yeah, right now they could be, you know, not paying the greatest dividend in the world, but ultimately, you know, if the stock price levels off, maybe they start to buy back some stock and they increase their dividend at the same time. That could obviously, you know, increase that dividend. That could be definitely a long-term staple in someone's portfolio. So that's a very good pick. I need to look into Ross a little bit further. Thank you for sharing, Lydia. Okay. Doug Whitaker, drone delivery, take it to the 90th floor. That's right, dude. Just meet me on my rooftop terrace, my rooftop studio in Manhattan, right? I just got 9.8 free shares of AT&T yesterday thanks to dividend reinvestment. That's right. AT&T may or may not be in my personal portfolio. Again, shameless plug. Only one way to find out, you guys. Join the membership group, The Informed Investor. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, let me share a quick screenshot here. I send out this email every week. How do I pull this up? I don't want to do this to where it's like... basically, I send out a newsletter every week. and it's a free stock pick. So essentially, I look at a stock that I think is going to do well over the long term. I give a couple bullet points about it, and then also give it a price rating, high, average, and low, what it's going to do over the next year. And then on the third page, I kind of pitch, the informed investor. So if you're looking for my personal portfolio, all my trades, real time, I have an equity research report included in that. So my buddy works on Wall Street. He works for a research firm. This is like literally cutting edge information. He's the one doing the surveys on the phone. So for example, if you want to know what Apple stock is going to do, what they do is they don't just run the fundamentals on Apple. They'll call distributors of Apple, so the people that actually ship out the iPhones, the people that source the materials that go into the iPhones. I mean, they're going 20 layers deep, you guys. And in that membership group that I'm doing, Informed Investor, that's going to be weekly and monthly as well. So there's going to be equity research reports included in that group. So let's see here. What am I trying to pull up? Okay, weekly stock idea. See, I have to open it up in a browser, and I just don't want to show, information that's kind of private or sensitive. So essentially, sign up for the newsletter in the link below. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I send it out every Friday, you guys. So sorry for that cheesy pitch. Alberto Cruz, good morning, Marco. Thank you for all you do. Got your email. There you go. Perfect example. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Alberto. I appreciate you signing up, buddy. I hope those are good quality. They're free. So if, please consider subscribing to the membership group. It's definitely worth it. I believe my portfolio is at like 38% since inception, so it's done pretty well. Road to the 2 Comma Club as a speculative play. I'm looking at Bud. If they catch wind of how well pot-infused drinks will be selling, they could join the bandwagon along with STZ. Yeah, very good pick. Let me look up Bud real quick so everyone knows what we're talking about. Okay. And let me share the screen. Okay. So I know Constellation Brands, when I made my top 3 marijuana stocks for 2018 video last November, I can't believe it's already been a year, you guys. Can you believe that? So big shout out to everyone that's been watching for the past year, man. I really respect that. I really appreciate it. Even when I took, 5-6 months off due to personal reasons, I submitted my first video after 5-6 months and got so many nice comments. I really appreciate that. But yeah, I'll have to do, a 1-year anniversary video just to thank everyone for all the support, for sure. So Anheuser-Busch, yes, they are trading a little bit lower. Yeah, this thing's fallen off pretty sharply here. So it all depends on, how long of a term you want to hold this for. I don't know. This may not be up my alley, but I'm glad you brought it up, buddy, just to see, just to give everyone else another perspective. The dividend yield is pretty decent. I'm not sure if it's because the stock price has fallen off here over the past couple months, but that is a healthy dividend. 52-week low, 72. Yeah, we're almost at that 52-week low. So we'll see here, you guys. And just let me know in the comments or in the chat box, can you see me switching screens and stuff, or am I just talking into the microphone like an idiot? Let me know if you guys can see me actually switching the screen around like that. Okay, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Lydia, what SIN stock do you like, Marco, excluding MJ companies? So I did invest in Altria for a long time, but then I realized, like, morally, I don't want to do that. I did recommend Las Vegas Sands, so that's more of a resort company, but they are, they are casinos as well. So excluding MJ companies, if I had to give you my honest opinion, morals aside, I guess that's why you're calling it a SIN stock. Definitely, Altria. Altria has absolutely crushed the dividend game, the appreciation in the stock. I mean, Altria was winner, chicken dinner, but I sold it off, A, to make money. I'm not doing this for charity. And B, I can't support companies that, kill people. So, I don't really go into the defense sector. I don't really go into, tobacco anymore. So, but yeah, check out Altria. I think the ticker symbol is MO. Aravind Kumar, what about infrastructure sectors? There are more things that we want to build in the world. So infrastructure, that's a good question. I know the United States, Trump had a big infrastructure plan or renovation plan planned just because all those Rust Belt cities, Buffalo, Cleveland, Chicago, pretty much any city across the U.S., the older cities, their infrastructure sucks. Like, the bridges are collapsing, the freaking water's dirty. I mean, the roads are terrible. Dude, I go to Eastern Europe almost every year, and the roads are like pristine compared to Cleveland, okay? Just because, I guess it's because of the weather. But man, some of these roads are so bad, and I'm a car guy. I hate bad roads. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves. And I know that sounds very stuck up and, you know, first world problems. But yeah, I mean, whatever. So yeah, as far as new construction, I don't know. I don't really play in construction, but existing infrastructure, I mean, Trump said he was going to invest like $2 trillion or something crazy like that. I made that video almost a year ago, so I don't remember the exact number. But yeah, I just know that these bridges and stuff, they're only becoming more and more unsafe over time. So yeah, that could be a play there. So Tesla is building tunnels via Boring Company. Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely true. If you watch the Joe Rogan with Elon Musk, he was talking about that on his channel, or on his podcast, excuse me. Constellation Brands, yep. The Constellation Brands is definitely one that I think is going to do well. They own Corona, dude. Everyone drinks Corona. I drink Corona, okay? If they create a weed-infused Corona, maybe I'll try it. Do you have news or comments to Cannabis Stocks? Tom asks. So Tom, good news, my friend. I actually will have 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 guests on. We're recording tomorrow, Sunday. It's going to be Rich TV Live, Departures Capital, and also Investing Hustler. They're 3 good guys that have their finger on the pulse of cannabis stocks. I figured, hey, I'm no longer, you know, an expert in that area, so I'm not going to talk out of my butt. I'm going to have 3 people on that know exactly what they're talking about. So we're making a roundtable discussion via internet, and we're going to talk about top 3 marijuana stocks going into 2019. So make sure to keep a lookout for that. I may post that next weekend. I may post it throughout the week. We'll see. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that, you guys. And guys, please, I noticed my views, they're a little bit down. I noticed the shares are a little bit down. I think I'm providing massive value. I know that's easy for me to say because it's my channel. Everyone's going to say that. But you guys, I'm live streaming. I'm giving you news updates. I'm providing, you know, videos. Like, share the channel. Tell a friend about it. It really means a lot to me, you guys. I really appreciate it. And I know most of the people on this stream are super loyal subscribers. So thank you so much. Lydia says we can see you switching screens. Thank you so much, Lydia. I appreciate that. So I guess I'm doing something right technically. Road to 2 Comma Club. That's why I dumped KTOS calls. Marco, I'm with you. Yep. Sridhar Potnuru. Hello, Sridhar. How you doing? Marco, what are your thoughts about GE? GE is a big cruise ship, or a big boat that needs to get turned around, and it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort. I think it's a falling knife. I think it's a business that is just, it's an old business. You know what I mean? That's the best way I can put it. It's an old freaking business. There's so many components to GE that it's not even funny. The CEO just left after like a year and a half, and he took a severance of like $4.5 million, $4.25 million. It's like, how do I get that job? How do I go into a job for like a year and a half, quit, say, see you later, dude, you know, give me my 4.25 mil. Like, I'd be balling out, dude. I'd be in Eastern Europe, dude. I'd be in Asia. I'd just be like, you know, just chilling, man. But all joking aside, to answer your question, Sridhar, GE, in my opinion, is a falling knife. It's going to take years for that to turn around, if ever. Asterisk, if ever. So if you're going to buy, you know, dollar cost average on the way down, hopefully you make your money on the way up. I just don't know. For me, there's so many more fun and more interesting and more stable companies to invest in other than GE. So that's just my take. Altria is one I was watching since I used to smoke cigs for 13 years. Quit that. Good. I quit cigs to have more investment. Good. I smoked cigarettes a little bit just socially, and they're gross. There's nothing good that can come out of cigarettes. There's so many chemicals, so much that FSC BS. Like, don't go there. But yeah, thank you for sharing. I'm glad you quit. That's one of the best things you could have done. Yeah, Altria is legit. Ervin, how many stocks must be in a portfolio for massive returns in the long run? So that's almost like you just said 2 different things. So the more stocks that you have in a portfolio, the more smooth your returns are going to be, because you don't only have 1 egg in your basket. Does that make sense? If you have 100 eggs in your basket and a couple of them break, it's okay because you still have 98 eggs to eat, okay? If you have a bunch of different stocks, you're not going to see massive returns. You're going to see stable returns based on the overall profile of your portfolio. Does that make sense? So my personal portfolio, I think I got like 40, 50 stocks in there, maybe more. I have ETFs, I have stocks, I have bonds, I have everything in that portfolio, especially my retirement portfolio, excuse me. So yeah, you're not going to see massive returns if you have a bunch of different equities, because they're all going to smooth each other out. If one company does great, other company does crappy, you're going to meet somewhere, excuse me, in the middle. I think I just burped on live TV or live YouTube, so sorry about that. But thank you for the question. I think time in the market rather than timing the market. So let me repeat that. Time in the market rather than timing the market is always going to get you the best returns. And that's a perfect example of the Informed Investor Portfolio, the membership group. You'll see what I've done over the past 12 years. Lydia Santiago. Oh, sorry, I just lost you here, Lydia. I apologize. Yep, I see you. Alexis Maria. Hey, Alexis, how you doing? Alexis was one of my first Instagram followers, so nice to see you on the live stream. I appreciate it. Doug Whitaker, Starbucks has a new drink called the Star Buzz. I have not looked into that. Let me pull that up. Let me see what we got here. Star Buzz. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Shop Starbuzz. Starbuzz Hookah. Tobacco and Shisha. Are you promoting your own business, Doug? What is this? Starbuzz, Starbucks. I think he's just messing with me, so I searched for this. Dude, there's nothing even coming up, man. Are you messing with me? Come on, Doug. I thought you were better than that, bro. Maybe I'm spelling it wrong. Let me know. But let me get back to here. So if you're messing with me, shame on you, even though I do have that kind of sense of humor. Mark Noldy, longtime subscriber, first time live observing. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Nice to have you on, buddy. Thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate it. Kay Michelle, good morning, Marco. Your thoughts on the Caterpillar as buy low while tariffs are still in effect? Very good question. I may or may not own Caterpillar in my own private portfolio. I've done a video on it a long time ago as recommending it. Let me see what we've done here since I've recommended it. I'll share my screen here. I got the WhiteBoard Finance portfolio pulled up here. So CAT, we're actually down 20% on. I recommended this a long time ago, but the cost basis is 157. Right now it's at 125. So this is a company that I actually believe in long term. They're solid in my opinion. They've only grown over the years. So I think that this could be a good time to buy Caterpillar as they are down. Let me pull up the symbol here. Okay, so 125 as we just mentioned over the past 5 years. I mean, yeah, they've done well, especially since recession time. Let's see here. Everything broke in 2009, which happened with most companies. And then they made a nice comeback, had a little bit of a sideways valley here, a peak, and then a big valley, and then they've kind of raised up over the years. So I don't know what the story is with Caterpillar. I mean, I believe in them long term. I haven't followed them since this early. I know I've had them in my portfolio for a while, but we'll see here. Good question. Regarding the tariffs, I don't know. I mean, based on that chart, it's kind of scary, but again, you can't really base all your investments on a chart, or you can't base your investment opinions on a chart. You got to really know all the layers of the onion. So what is your take, Michelle? I know you're asking me, but I'd appreciate you guys maybe, submitting your own thoughts on the stocks that you're asking about. So let me know your thoughts, please. Tom says, thanks. Let's see what we got here. Doug Whitaker, David's Tea is stock 2. Watch 2 if they get into the drinks, okay? Andrew Fung, AMD, how about Apple's dip? So Andrew, thank you for joining. Appreciate it. I think that's the first time I've seen your name here. So AMD is all over the place, you guys. AMD, I like their products, like Ryzen, their processors. Their products are legit. I just don't know what's up with the stock. It's always been kind of like a up and down, up and down. Let's share the screen here. Okay. AMD. We got another subscriber to the weekly stock pick. Great. Okay. So, as I mentioned, AMD's always kind of been like up and down, up and down, up and down. I don't know why that is. It's a big dip. You know, it does have potential to come back up here. I mean, the thing with AMD is that, you know, you have stuff like this going on. You know, it's always been kind of sideways, and then it pops off. I think this is because people really started using the Ryzen processors right here. You know, when you look at like CPU benchmarks, let me pull that up. The Ryzens are always awesome, and they're so much cheaper than Intel. Let me go to this high-end CPU chart. Let me see if you guys can even see this. Okay, you can. So like, yeah, Intel obviously dominates, but then you have like the Threadripper, which is $899, and it's, you know, literally 60% less than the next best Intel CPU. So there's no wonder why people are gravitating towards AMD and towards Ryzen. But at the end of the day, you guys, I don't know. It's a stock that's scary. It could be good for, you know, taking short-term profits if you know that it's going to keep going up and down, up and down. But, you know, as a long-term hold, I just don't know. Even though I am a fan of AMD products, so that's coming from someone that actually likes what they put out. I hope that answered your question. Apple's dip, we mentioned that earlier on the stream. So Apple down 7%. They said that they're going to stop announcing sales of iPhones, and I think that's what caused that, even though they did beat earnings. So who knows? I mean, Apple is a company that I believe in long term, so we'll see. Road to 2 Comma Club, cannabis is better than cigarettes anyways. That's right. What about Juul, man? Juul is worth like $15 billion. If you guys don't know about Juul, it's spelled J-U-U-L. That's one of those little, like, it looks like a USB, and it vaporizes whatever their proprietary liquid is, I guess. It's probably just cancer in a pod. But it's literally, it looks like a USB stick that you suck on. You know, you inhale it. It's like a cigarette, and it delivers nicotine through vapor. So I believe it's cleaner than a cigarette because it's not combusting smoke. It's not combustible. But who knows what kind of chemicals are in that crap, you guys. You don't want to mess around with that. I think he meant nominal terms, such as how many stocks do you have to make, say, 100 grand a year. Oh, is this, if this is referring to the return on equity question? Okay, I understand what you're saying. So Parama Savam, can you show me your wife's photo? No. How does that sound? If you want to see my wife, sometimes I post pictures of her on Instagram, but, you know, I'm kind of a private guy. I don't even know why I do that, to be honest, but yeah, no. Lydia, Road to the 2 Comma Club. I agree. I'm from LA, so I'm an MJ fan. Yeah, a lot of my viewers are from Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, Los Angeles, you know, Denver. A lot of people on the marijuana bandwagon. Oh, Doug said he was joking if Starbucks came out with a drink called Starbuzz. I'm sorry, maybe I'm reading that too fast. I apologize, Doug. I thought you were just messing with me. Road to the 2 Comma Club. I almost bought Starbucks calls right before earnings. Doug says, my apologies for bad humor. No, it's all good, man. That's funny. I didn't realize you were joking around. You're excused for the burp. No problem, man. Thank you. I've been looking into water stocks, specifically Xylem. Do you see potential growth in that sector? That's a good question. So if you're talking about like fresh water stocks or stocks that provide water, I know there's countries that have a big need for that. Let me see if I can see anything on that. Water stocks. Okay. Okay, so we got top water stock to buy now. 3 sustainable water stocks for your portfolio. So if that's what you're referring to, yeah, there's definitely countries, I mean, where that's a huge need, like Haiti, especially countries that have natural disasters that kind of destroy their freshwater stocks, if you will, not like stocks of a company, but like their reserves of fresh water. I know Africa sometimes has droughts and they have issues with this. Sometimes villages in like Asia or Western Asia have issues with this. So they're saying Danaher Corporation, Xylem. There's your Xylem right there. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so Xylem Inc. is engaged in the design and manufacturing and application of highly engineered technologies for the water industry. Interesting. So the conference call, okay. This is a stock that I have to look a little bit further into. You know, I don't really ever BS you guys. If I don't know about something, I'll tell you I don't know about Xylem, but that's pretty interesting. I will have to look into fresh water. I know there's definitely a need for it. It just depends on if there's a return in that market. Okay, so what do we got here? Fung, he said my last name right. That's right, dude. I pronounced names correctly. I tried to, at least. Rudy T, how you doing, Rudy? Thanks for joining on the live stream. What about American Lithium? Good question. I don't know about American Lithium specifically, but I know lithium companies are actually becoming more and more popular and more attractive as an investment, just because all the talk that's going on with electric cars. I actually have an electric bicycle, so I ride my bike to work when I can. So I go 28 miles an hour assisted with the battery. It's pretty cool. I get to work, I'm not sweaty, and I'm going like 28 miles an hour. It's freaking awesome. And I get to work in like 26 minutes on a bike. Let's see what we got here. American Lithium. Okay, so this is obviously a penny stock from what I can tell. Let's see what we got here on Yahoo. I'm not sure why it's not loading. There we go. Yeah, this is a penny stock. So I'll be the first one to say, other than marijuana stocks, I didn't really mess with penny stocks. So that's probably why I don't know about this company. Why are you suggesting it, or why are you interested in it? Maybe you can educate us, the viewers, in the chat box. So yeah, I'll be the first one to say I don't know much about this. I don't really invest in penny stocks. That's not going to be in my portfolio. But I see that it's splitting pretty often, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I just don't know enough about it. And it looks like it's been around for a while now. Oh, wow. It used to be in the 50s, 80s? What happened to this company, dude? Who's mismanaging these funds? Maybe you can enlighten us. Okay, so let's see what we got here. American Lithium, Doug Whitaker from Toronto. Are you from South Africa? From Toronto? Where are you from, dude? Are you messing with me? Douglas Politi. So since I've watched your channel and others, I've grown my wealth in the market and not making rookie mistakes. Thank you. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Thank you, Doug. That's exactly why I started the channel, is to increase people's wealth over time and also reduce financial illiteracy in the world. So thank you so much. That comment means a lot to me, my friend. How do you think the midterm will affect the market? Rudy says, Fala. Rudy, nema na čemu. How do you think midterm will affect the market? I don't know. I think people want to see Trump fail. I'm not for or against Trump. If it's between him and Hillary, I'm probably for Trump. And if I get half my unsubscribers or half my subscribers to leave me, sorry. But I think he was the lesser of the two evils, if you will. But do I think the midterm will affect the market? I think, for the short term, if you're like a day trader, obviously certain things will. But let's be honest, guys. Stocks have done very well since Trump was elected and have taken office. You can even go back to November of 2016 and see the market just do one of those. Pretty much stocks all across the board. So people are confident in Trump. They know he's pro-business and they like him. Midterm hasn't hurt the market since 1946. Hoping this year won't be any different. Absolutely. Very good point, my friend. Lithium is a long-term hold. You and your blue color shirts look awesome. It's like a cup and saucer together. The shirt is made for only you, I think. Kumar has, hey, for you guys that haven't been on the live stream every week, Kumar always drops one or two of these bombs every live stream, and it's freaking hilarious, dude. Thank you. These analogies, they kill me, dude. Like a cup and saucer together. Dude, you're hilarious. Marco, what made you interested in stocks? So good question, Lydia. So I've been interested in stocks since I was a teenager. I don't know. I think maybe it's because my mom worked at a bank at one point. I was always into like finance. It's weird. Like, it's just, I like finance. The numbers work in my brain. Like, some people are good at woodworking. Some people are good at plumbing. I'm just good at math and numbers. And I also like being a detective. So like peeling back layers of the onion. I use that analogy a lot because there's so many layers to a company that affect the stock price and the health of the company. I think that's why I'm interested in stocks. Apple Kreider says, Marco, my man, what's up, Apple? How you doing, my friend? Nice to see you, buddy. Alberto Cruz, Marco, I'm considering Starbucks long term. They're emphasizing and expanding in Asia. So Starbucks is a product that I'm not really a consumer of. I think $4 for a cup of hot water and some like coffee grinds in it. It's not the money, it's just the principle. Like, I just don't like the Starbucks culture, everything that comes with Starbucks. Like, oh, I just pulled up in my C-class Mercedes and my leggings, and I need to have my cup of coffee. You know, if you're a Starbucks drinker, great. You know, I have nothing against you. It's just I don't care for it. The company itself, obviously, they've expanded. They've done very well, and they're almost like an Apple computers, if you will. They've created a brand and good marketing and good following that, you know, people see Starbucks and they see Joe's Coffee, they're going to go to Starbucks every time. Me, I personally don't really care. So yeah, I mean, good luck, Alberto. I hope that trade does well for you. Tom, do you think that Trump's policy is economically sustainable? I think Trump is a big talker. He's a real estate developer. I've worked in commercial real estate for many years, and I know, you know, developers personally. My boss was a developer, and he's a great guy. They're big talkers, overly optimistic, overly positive. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in that industry. So yeah, I think Trump's policy, it may not be economically sustainable, but hey, he talks a smooth game, man, and that's probably what he's going to be remembered for. Argard, thank you for joining, my friend. Thoughts on GE right now. So I mentioned this earlier in the stream. GE is a falling knife, in my opinion. It's a big ship that needs to get turned around. They have so many sectors and so many segments of their business that it's a lot. It's a lot, you guys. I got another notification for a subscriber for the weekly stock pick. If you guys haven't already below, sign up for the weekly stock pick. The link is below. I would greatly appreciate it. It's free, like literally free, no strings attached. Like there's no other way I can explain that better. So I've been grabbing it up since hitting 15, but now it's at 9. I'm questioning its ability to bounce back. Yeah, dude, GE, there's so many better companies out there. I don't know why people, they see GE, they know this brand name because they have a dishwasher that's GE or a stove or whatever, and they think, oh, I'm familiar with GE. GE is a huge freaking ship that needs to get turned around. Their CEO just left and collected like $4 million in severance. So yeah, I don't know about GE. Just that's my personal opinion. But again, not a financial advisor. I'm a guy on YouTube. You shouldn't trust me. Well, you should because I'm honest, but you know what I mean. I'm trying to say that I'm just a guy on YouTube. Do your own due diligence. Road to the 2 Comma Club. At least I'll be in my Tesla when I'm judging people holding my Starbucks. Save the planet. That's great. Oh, yes, I have autonomous driving Tesla. Here's my Mocha Choca Paca Latte. Whatever. Lydia, laughing my ass off. I love your description of Starbucks culture. I bought Starbucks at the dip and I'm up 23% in that position. However, I agree what you said about Starbucks culture. Great. Hey, if it's making money, I don't care. Who cares? That's great, Lydia. Glad to hear that. I would love to have you on one day. I mean, it sounds like you know what you're doing. You always have good, valuable questions. I'd be happy to have you on one of my investor talks if you'd like. Apple Crider, how did you finagle that scrolling text across the bottom of the stream? Really cool feature. Oh, these are secrets, my friend. These are trade secrets. These are, hey, I'll tell you. If you go to OBS Studio, Nick Nimmin, he's got a great channel. Watch his stuff. Just type in OBS tutorial, OBS help, OBS whatever. You'll find it. It's easy. It's all over YouTube. But yeah, I appreciate it. So Doug Whitaker, Marco, you have an excellent live chat. I'll definitely be back. Thank you. Doug, thank you so much for joining. Please tell a friend. I really appreciate it. Andrew Fung, what are some good ETFs? Aha, you're in luck, my friend. I'm actually going to be recording top 3 ETFs for 2019. That was one of my better performing videos. And I think ETFs are the easiest way for a beginner to start investing. Financial investor, morning, Marco. Hello, my friend. Glad you can join us. Road to the 2 Comma Club. I just picked up OLED on the dip yesterday, up 13% so far on that one. Awesome. Well, on that note, you guys, we're already running above an hour. My mouth is dry. My head hurts. I'm ready to go hit the gym, hit the West Side Market here in Cleveland. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm exaggerating. It's cloudy and cold and wet, but it's all good. Life is good. Everyone's happy, healthy. I hope you're all prosperous. Forget about the money, forget about stocks. As long as you're healthy and happy, that's all you need in life. But, you know, stocks are nice too, and so is having some money. Big shout out to everybody that joins. I really appreciate you guys. Sign up for the weekly stock pick. And when I drop the Informed Investor, my membership group, I hate to keep plugging it, but there's going to be so much freaking value in that group. It's not even close to anything that's available right now. Everything else is going to look like child's play compared to that group. equity research reports, monthly private streams for members only. It's going to be insane. A lot of value, ton of value for the money. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a prosperous day, and peace.